YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today I'm recapping a member mock draft that we did here on Saturday, March 27th. Several more to come leading up to the draft. It's where a user plays GM for every NFL team. We got 32 users, actually, one for each NFL team. If you're part of our Patreon, you're kept up to date. You get first dibs on this. If you're signed up through walkthemock.com, which either way you would have to, and you use code GOATHOUSE when signing up, then you also get a chance to play GM for a team in the Goat House member mock drafts. So check out that website you see underneath me. I'll put a link in the comments. Use code GOATHOUSE if you sign up. I'm always tweeting out updates when the next one is, how it's going to go down, and I'll tweet out that link for the lobby for you to join and pick your team. So there's a bunch of people scrambling, try to get in there, so that it's first come, first serve basically, but Patreon does get first dibs there. Any link that you're looking for in the comments. I have a mock draft that went up yesterday, post trades, Dolphins, Niners, Eagles trades, where I predict the pick. This one, again, users play GM, 3 rounds. We're about to break it down. Please subscribe to the channel. Full NFL draft content on the way starting next week. Really excited for that. But again, walkthemock.com is what we're using for this. It allows a user per NFL team. So 32 people live drafting with trades. So we're going to break it down. You see it right above me. Walk the mock, 20% off. Use code GOATHOUSE if you sign up. So yeah, check that out. But so we started with Nathan. He played GM for the Jaguars, and that was Trevor Lawrence first overall. Maybe a little boring at first playing GM for the Jaguars, but then yeah, you got plenty of opportunities there. So Just went with Zach Wilson second overall. So kind of as expected. What we all expect here. This is where it gets interesting because, of course, yesterday the 49ers traded up to the third pick, just wild, a month before the draft. And I made a mock draft predicting who I think the Niners will take, and I predicted Trey Lance. It almost just doesn't feel like Justin Fields right now because he hasn't had his pro day. Pro day doesn't mean a whole lot, but you think you would wait the week until the pro day is over just in case you saw something just fluky, something you didn't like. I feel like it's Trey Lance. It could even be Mac Jones, but I think it's Trey Lance. But this is why it's good to have, my predict the pick videos, mock drafts, and then this where, everyone gets to play GM because it's kind of what you would do if you were GM, but you see a bunch of different scenarios. So Kent here drafting for the 49ers took Justin Fields because he's in control of the Niners, and I like that because Justin Fields is my number 3 quarterback in the class. You could argue maybe somebody else is a better fit, like a Trey Lance perhaps, but yeah, if I played GM, that would probably be my pick as well. Then Gavin picking for the Falcons. Well, the Falcons fans can't get mad at me now because they did get mad at me when I had them taking Justin Fields in a predict the pick mock draft yesterday, but now all the Falcons fans could come for Gavin's blood here because he had him taking a quarterback. But, if I'm playing GM, I strongly consider it. Again, Justin Fields is my number 3 quarterback. So it definitely is a tough call. Maybe this would be a trade back spot for me. No trade was agreed to at this point. I see we got one coming up. We get to 10, and I'm sure there's a lot more after that. We'll get there. But, yeah, my argument, the people against quarterback for the Falcons are saying that, yeah, they're trying to win right now. Why would we get something that does not help us win right now? And I understand that logic because that's a team that can win right now. Can they win the Super Bowl, though? I do think they have too many holes for that, but they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. But that kind of goes into why you take a quarterback. You're going to be a lot better than you were last year. You're not going to be picking 4th overall. When are you, Trey Lance probably goes, in terms of quarterback, 1 or 2 in pretty much every draft class. First or second quarterback off the board. When are you going to have this opportunity? All the other opportunities, you're going to have to trade way up, and there's going to be limited quarterbacks. I'm looking at 2 maybe in next year's class at the very top. Nobody's going to want to give up that pick if they're desperate for a quarterback. And you're going to have to trade a lot more. So that's why the Niners capitalized, because they saw their opportunity in this draft class. We don't even need the best quarterback, the second best quarterback. We could take the 3rd, and we're good because it's that good of a class. That's the Niners logic, and they trade up to 3 because from 12 to 3 isn't as far of a trade up as, because they're planning on picking 20s, 30s, next year. It's going to be impossible. So they were kind of smart in that category. But in this case, Gavin takes Trey Lance for the Falcons. I do like to fit in Arthur Smith's scheme, so we got 4 quarterbacks in a row here. George for the Bengals take Penei Sewell. Bengals is really interesting with the Bengals. mainly because what's on their roster currently. They got Jonah Williams, Riley Reef. Riley Reef's a 1-year thing, 1-year deal. They did pay him $7.5 million though for 1 year. They told him he's going to play right tackle. Does that mean they're going to draft left tackle? They're going to move Jonah Williams to guard because that's probably where he's better suited, or they're going to keep him at left tackle. I am starting to believe that they are going to keep Jonah Williams at left tackle. That's kind of my thinking right now. But if they were going to move him to guard, they wouldn't let any of us know because that's going to give away their strategy. So who knows? So they might be interested in taking more of a guard, but this early, could they trade back? I don't think so. So for those reasons, I was kind of leaning towards Ja'Marr Chase, but I would be good with the Sewell pick because your offensive line just gets better. You need to protect Joe Burrow. Avery at pick 6, the new pick for the Dolphins, takes Ja'Marr Chase. So this is kind of the thinking of why it was so good for the Dolphins. They moved down 3 spots. They collected some picks in the future, or they moved back to 12, then they moved up to 6. But at the end of the day, they moved down 3 spots, collected picks for the future, including a first-round pick in 2023, and they still got to hold on to that Niners pick next year. And they still get, maybe the guy they would have taken at 3, which would be pretty ridiculous. Huge Ja'Marr Chase guy. Him with Will Fuller and Devontae Parker, Preston Williams and Robert Foster in the rotation. Looking ideal there. Kyle picking for the Lions. He takes Micah Parsons. Yeah, I seem to be mocking Devontae Smith a lot to the Lions. I just like the fit. I'm not guaranteeing it or anything. I just really like the fit. But Parsons makes some sense as well. Tough dude, really good blitzing off the ball linebacker, extremely rangy. There's probably teams out there that would switch him to edge rusher, and I'd be confident it would work out. I think most teams would keep him off the ball and use them in a variety of ways, kind of like the Lions would do. So, yeah, this is interesting, something different than I had. Probably pretty boring for, if you're a Lions fan. For me, I keep having Devontae Smith. It's what keeps happening for me. We'll see if I think that down to the wire. But Parsons makes sense. After that pro day he had, running in the 4.3 is pretty ridiculous. He's a freaky dude. The Panthers take Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I love Kyle Pitts. Dominant playmaker, in line, in the slot outside. Panthers grab him, even though they did pick up Dan Arnold, but you could use both, of course. And at the end of the day, they did lose a target in Curtis Samuel, so they could pick up another one. Robbie Anderson going to be a free agent after this year, so just adding to that, the receiver core, I suppose, makes sense. Some could argue, do they go Mac Jones? I think they can go offensive line. The Broncos, so that was Joe drafting for the Panthers. David drafting for the Broncos takes Mac Jones, so he's in favor of finding that quarterback. Maybe that's better than Drew Lock here. The Broncos have the weapons. They have the weapons. They have a pretty damn complete team. So, maybe they believe in Drew Lock over there, that he can get it done now. He wasn't really getting it done last year, but hasn't had a whole bunch of reps because, remember, he came in late the year before. So you're definitely a guy that I think could change a little bit. Still, even though quarterbacks don't change too much, when they have limited reps to go in to get a lot of reps, that's where you see the change, if there is any. But Mac Jones, in that offense with those weapons, it's feeling kind of similar to Alabama there. So I think he can work out well there. So I'm not really against that. The Patriots trade. So we have a trade that sends them to 10. Let me scroll down a little bit. We're going to see some of the other picks. Got another trade coming up. So the Cowboys move back 5 spots and they pick up a 2nd round pick. That's good for the Cowboys there. I think it's a good deal. You only move up 5 spots, you give up a 2nd round pick. So I do think the Cowboys probably got more value, but it's very realistic trade that these two came up with here. Jaylen for the Patriots and Jordan for the Cowboys. They were able to reach an agreement there on a trade. Patriots come up for Jalen Waddle. So you see a lot of mocks with Patriots going up for a Mac Jones or even higher for Justin Fields, whoever it may be. And, yeah, they go up for a receiver, Jalen Waddle. They did add some targets at tight end and receiver through free agency. So maybe most people don't see them getting a receiver here in the draft, but they didn't add, I don't know if they don't really have, I know they don't really have a top end receiver, so they could add that here. They could trade N'Keal Harry as well. And then Tyler drafting for the Giants, they take Rashawn Slater. Yeah, that's ideal there if he slips through. I'm beginning to think he can go earlier in this, but it's possible he slips through, and the Giants would take him. That'd be tough. It'd be interesting to see if they play him at tackle or guard. because right now they do have Andrew Thomas and Nate Solder. So they could put him at guard. And I think it could be, his length, body type, I should say, because he doesn't have a whole bunch of length, kind of says guard, but he was such a good tackle. And he did start his career off playing right tackle. He actually has more snaps playing right tackle than left. So you can plug him in at right, keep Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and don't be so worried about Nate Solder maybe. That could work out. That'd be ideal for the Giants. Seth picking for the Eagles. They trade back to 12, obviously, in real life, and then he stays put and takes Devontae Smith. So that's fantastic. Add him with Jaylen Mayfield, couple good young receivers for the future there. Devontae Smith's a plug-and-play guy. The Eagles it's kind of been a worry because all the receivers they get just are struggling early on, but I think Devontae Smith is an instant impact guy. So this would be good to learn if it's the Eagles' fault or if it's, or if it's been the other. Either way, it's kind of the Eagles' fault, because if Devontae Smith doesn't work out right away, I'm blaming the team and not Devontae Smith. And if he does work out right away, it just kind of tells us they haven't been picking the right receivers, which most people think. I like Rager still. I think he'd be good. That was a kind of a raw prospect because TCU kind of stuck him on one side of the field and either have him run a go, an end around, or a screen, but he's such a dynamic athlete. And then Ruvim for the Chargers picks Tevin Jenkins. So this isn't a popular one, but I like it. Surprising things are going to happen, and this is, it shouldn't be that shocking here. I like this a lot here because I guess the only downside of it is he mainly played right tackle. He did line up at left tackle at times, and they are set for now with Brian Bulaga. Some injury concern, they could use a right tackle in the future, but I still could see this. I can see teams confident in putting Tevin Jenkins at left tackle, and maybe at the end of the day they just grade him the highest tackle. And do we want to take a guy just because we think he can play? Look at Jedrick Wills last year. The Browns took him, absolute stud. We knew he was a stud. They had to take him. We got to move him to the other side, but that's okay because he's the best guy we graded. That's where it makes sense. So that could be the case here. I think most teams will like Jenkins. It's weird because I think most teams will have Darsaw higher. Probably, the teams that have Darsaw higher, they'll probably have him higher than Jenkins by a decent amount. But I could see some teams being cold on Darsaw, like completely off the radar almost. I mean, not entire draft, but not around this range because he's a risky pick. But the draft you have to take some risk here. He's a risky pick because, he's good. You look at him on tape, he's fantastic. I like him a lot. But he's risky because he could, at the end of the day, end up being kind of a run-blocking tackle. And you want pass protection first. There just isn't enough reps of lengthy pass protection to tell us a lot. I like what I see with the technique, the footwork, the quickness. He's a dominant run blocker. So I'm a fan. But that could be, a reason why maybe a guy like Jenkins goes before. So I kind of like that. It's a little different. And Michael takes Darsaw, the Vikings. The Vikings, like I said, more important for guys to be better pass protectors than run blockers if you're a tackle. I feel like the Vikings are opposite. They're just obsessed with the running game. He'll fit them perfectly, so that pick makes a lot of sense. So the Cowboys traded back, remember, and they still got Patrick Surtain here. Jordan did a good job there trading back, picking up a pretty early second-round pick if we want to look at the trade details again. 14th round in the second round is a second-round pick there. 14th overall in the second round. You still got Patrick Surtain, so that's fantastic. I guess the debate on who's more of a fit, Surtain or J.C. Horn, they're both good in man coverage, good press technique for Dan Quinn's scheme. You could probably argue. You can argue either way. I can see them liking Surtain a little more because he's a little longer. But I can see, Horn being in most people's eyes less of a risk, more comfortable with a heavy man scheme. Surtain could be a little better in zone, even though he played man with Alabama, and he's going to be fine there, I think, as well. And then the Cardinals took Caleb Farley. He's supposed to be slipping a little bit because injuries in the past and an injury right now, and it didn't play this year. But he's very talented. And to the Cardinals want to run a lot of press man as well. Do they feel? I've heard some takes from people within the league, scouts, that they're not really he's good in man coverage, but is he good in press man coverage? That's the question for some teams. So we'll see if they view him as a fit. But Nicholas takes Caleb Farley for the Cardinals, maybe just too talented to pass because he is a talented corner. Then Sean takes for the Raiders Elijah Vera Tucker. Be interesting to see where they play him here. Probably guard. I like him at guard. He played tackle this year, and he was good. He got eaten alive by Kayvon Thibodeau, who's spoiler, way too early. Probably gonna be my number one prospect in next year's draft class. He's that good. But he got dominated by him. So you don't like to see that if you're taking a guy in the first round, but it is the number one prospect most likely of next year, in my opinion. But I think he could be a really good guard. He could be a good tackle. I just like him better at guard. So the Raiders could go offensive line. Not a sexy pick for them because they do need more help on defense. They could really use another receiver as well, but they could use offensive line. I had them taking Tevin Jenkins in my recent one. Then Avery picking again for the Dolphins, gets Travis Etienne. So they load up on offense. They get Jamar Chase. Avery drafts Jamar Chase and Travis Etienne here. And this will bring in the debate. Is this too early for a running back? He's a total package running back. He catches the ball. That's where his upside's at. Catching the ball out of the backfield, downfield, so explosive after the catch as well. So the Dolphins, maybe a little early for me for taking, not really a running back. Maybe it's a little early for a running back for me, really. But I wouldn't say it's a bad pick at all. You got a lot better on offense. And I think we know they'll probably be targeting a running back somewhat early because we think they were going for Aaron Jones, but the Packers re-signed him before free agency really started. Eddie picking for Washington. I had the same thing. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think Rivera will like him a lot. I could see him going. It's one of those guys where he's got a lot of range here. I think he can go pretty early, like top 10 almost, or maybe that Eagles pick, 12, or he can go somewhere down here. I think why he's maybe more likely to go down here. I think the 3-4 defenses, I just don't see any of them really taking him. There's got to be one or two maybe that's got a plan for him. But the 4-3 teams that are interested, which is about half the league around that range, or then take the ones that are interested in adding that, they have a need there perhaps. So that's even a fraction, a portion, I should say, of half the league because of fit. And those teams know that, okay, this team's not going to take them. We know that. This team's not going to take them, so we can wait a little bit. So that's why, maybe starts to get pushed down a little bit. But some team, like Rivera's team here, Washington football team, you just got to have them. That defense would be elite. I think it might be elite as it is. So, but that'd be interesting. Jason picking for the Bears, take J.C. Horn, so kind of get him for Fuller. Yeah, I would like that. It kind of sucks when you didn't really have to get rid of Fuller. Like, should they have got rid of Fuller? I don't think so. And then you got to kind of use the first-round pick on a corner when you didn't really have to. So that might sting for Bears fans a little bit. But Fuller, I thought Fuller could play man coverage. I thought he was a little better in cover two, some more of the zone where he can get even physical in that kind of coverage. But because sometimes they'll be cover two, and of course they're pressing. I think he does a good job of that. But he's not bad at all. But he's not a guy that's gonna in cover one gonna chase guys around the field. He's not that type of corner. But J.C. Horn could do that because his press technique is so good at the line, so good in man coverage. So it could be an upgrade in certain coverages that you want to run. Fuller's gonna be much better. Overall, Fuller's better, especially in year one, but he's going to be a lot better in the zone coverages. So the Bears grab him there. It sounds like Horn's going to go earlier, so I don't know if I see him being there at 20. Eric for the Colts takes Gregory Rousseau from Miami. And, freakish upside dude. He's got his pro day coming up. I think it's Monday, so I'm really excited about that. And the Colts do need pass rush. They need a left tackle, but is there a fit? Is it a reach? That's kind of the problem I run into with the Colts at 21. And edge rush is just as much of a need because right now, every year it feels like we're talking about guys like Teray or Banagu, for those guys to step up. They never really step up. Those are pretty raw, those are rotation guys, it feels like. So, they're going to need to get a start. They need two starters, in my opinion, right now. And while they need a left tackle as well. So, they go with the pass rusher. I like that. Swanee for the Titans, I had the same thing, taking Rashad Bateman. So now they lost Corey Davis, and that, maybe hurt a little bit for Titans fans. But, if you can come away with, still having A.J. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Josh Reynolds, it's looking even way better, really, in terms of the actual receiver unit. And I think they'll like Bateman. He can play outside and inside. So I think it's a solid pick. Just picking for the Jets again, takes Kwity Paye. Pair him with Carl Lawson. So just like that, the Jets have some pass rushers. For so long, they just were not able to build the pass rushers. They just couldn't do it. They just couldn't find edge rushers for so long. And just like that, finds, unless it's supposed to be Juice, but I think that's just, pairs the edge rusher Kwity Paye with Carl Lawson and got Zach Wilson. Be a pretty good draft here. This is where the draft is crazy. I think I was talking about this yesterday because the really good edge rushers, they like are a guarantee usually, like Kwity Paye, like Rousseau, like Jalen Phillips, all these guys. Those caliber pass rushers are just a lock to go top 10, 15 we'll call it. That might be pushing it though. But this draft is so crazy, mainly with the quarterbacks, that it pushes some solid guys back. So this is a rare draft class, not just because the quarterbacks, because the pass rushers, I think, as well. I think it's a really good class here. And then Danny for the Steelers goes Jaylen Mayfield. Yeah, I could see him starting at right tackle for the Steelers. He can play guard as well. I almost like him at guard. I feel a little safer with him at guard. Right tackle, he had a really good year. Remember, how many games Michigan played? Like 5. And last year he wasn't so hot at tackle. He let up a lot of pressure. So a little bit of a risky pick. But, this year he looked really good, bully of a blocker. Nathan for the Jaguars takes Samuel Cosmi. We kind of stopped seeing tackles mocked to the Jaguars early. And the reason for that is because they somewhat surprisingly signed franchise tag Cam Robinson. New staff, they want to give him a run. Robinson's still young. I think it kind of makes sense now you think about it. So people kind of stop, but maybe we should think more like Nathan here. Maybe we should say not so fast because they're not sure about Cam Robinson. That's why they franchise tagged him. It's a new staff. They didn't sign him long term. So get a guy like Cosmi and then let Cam Robinson walk. Unless they're in love with the idea and they're very confident about Robinson, then they probably won't do this then. They kept Andrew Norwell, but, that's probably going to be a one-year thing, so they could still take a guard, too. It's a possibility. Chris takes David Collins, linebacker from Tulsa for the Browns. Really good blitzing linebacker. You almost could use him as an edge rusher. I don't know if I see him as an edge rusher in actually, you know what? Olivier Vernon, I didn't really see an edge rusher in their scheme, and he kind of worked out pretty well. And Collins, he's built more like that, too, like a pass rusher. So they could move him there. Kind of get a 2-for-1 there because he could play. He's always around the ball. He's a good off-the-ball linebacker. He was Defensive Player of the Year in the nation because of that. So, that would be an interesting pick. I would be if that happened. If we're sitting here during the draft and that happened, I'd be like, wow, are they going to use him off the ball? Are they going to use him as edge rusher? It's one of those picks where I won't be able to wait until week 1 in the NFL just to see, or maybe training camp probably tells us, but. And they could do both. They can here and there switch it off a little bit. So it's definitely an intriguing pick for sure. The Giants, okay, so another trade. I was surprised the lack of trades. We had a couple, but Tyler trades up and the Ravens trade back. The Ravens pick up, they move back to 10 in the second round. And they add a third-round pick and a next-year third. I think it's possible if the Ravens may rather take a fourth this year than the third next year. Trading back would kind of make sense for them because they for a contender they actually have some needs they still want to fill. They're missing on receivers and free agency. I know they picked up Sammy Watkins, injury concern, not a true number one. They need a receiver, they need a pass rusher because right now their starters are Bowser and I'm drawing a Pernell McPhee, Jesus. Those are their starters right now. They do have Ferguson as well. So they want to add another number one. I like the upside of Bowser, so don't get me wrong. But they want to add another number one. If they got to move on from Orlando Brown, they could use a right tackle. They could use a center. Maybe they're targeting Landon Dickerson. So you trade back, kind of get a collection of those guys. So I actually like the thinking. For whoever's controlling the Ravens, we're giving away all this draft. We'll see. But I kind of like the thinking there. They would probably add another pick this year, perhaps. But the Giants, I like this thinking for Tyler as well. Jalen Phillips is still sitting there. He's a stud. He's my number one pass rusher in the class. There are some freaky upside guys. Phillips does have upside too, though. But this would be fantastic for the Giants. Absolutely fantastic. I had the same thing here. Jason for the Saints taking Kadarius Toney. In the back of my mind, I kind of worry, will the Saints actually take a receiver in round one, though? I feel like they need to, in this scenario, take Toney for a Jameis Winston-type offense. They're obsessed with going defense. I actually think the Saints are, I think they're going to trade back. Something new I realized, they need more picks. They need to fill roster spots. They had to cut so many guys, cut it down because of the cap space. Usually those teams in that situation, 99% of the time, they end up with a load of draft picks, and the Saints need more just to get a normal amount. So I can actually see a trade back here for sure, and just kind of just trust their process evaluations. Maybe we can get more. That means we can get more guys that we like. Depending on who drops here, but Saints are definitely a team to look out for trading back. Something I realized, but I love Kadarius Toney for them. Cowboys trade up, Packers trade back, so the Cowboys grabbed that 12th pick in the second round here, in the upcoming second round. Jordan did that in that previous trade, and now they traded it in a 14th pick for another first-round pick. Very interesting movement. They take Christian Barmore, so plug him in there with Neville Gallimore and the other guys they got, and that the defensive line's looking that much better. So Barmore, by far the best interior defensive lineman in this class, unless you're Warren Sapp. I believe Warren Sapp said he was like a third or a fourth-round pick. It was pretty crazy. So I like what the Cowboys are doing here. Jordan, the Cowboys, is drafting for the Bills, Alex Leatherwood for the Bills. You don't really see them taking offensive line, but they could. They could be looking out for the near future here, and the good thing is Leatherwood has experience at tackle, but people think he can be a pretty good guard. So maybe you kind of coach that up where he has the versatility, and you needed guys filling in last year. You probably need a starter for next year. So this could be a possibility here. Landon for the Chiefs takes Terrace Marshall. I kind of like this fit here because the Chiefs are kind of missing that length at receiver, contested catchability. But they're not all about that lengthy guy that's you stick him on the outside, he goes up and gets it. And that's not what Terrace Marshall is, though. He actually has more snaps in the slot, pretty good movement, footwork wise. So I do think the Chiefs, you look at Terrace Marshall, you look at the profile, the build, the frame, you're like, that's not a Chiefs receiver. But I actually surprisingly could see that being a Chiefs receiver. So Landon goes ahead and grabs Terrace Marshall. Juan Chang takes Azeez Ojulari for the Buccaneers. You have a very realistic pick. It's realistic that Ojulari could be the first pass rusher taken. It's crazy how good this pass rush class is, where it's pretty unpredictable. But yeah, they're looking out for the near future with that. Second round, roll through this a little quicker. Nathan takes Asante Samuel Jr., so adding another corner there for the Jaguars. Just takes Wyatt Davis for the Jets, so building that interior. Gavin grabs Najee Harris for the Falcons. Definitely another realistic pick here. Avery takes Joseph Asai. That could be a Brian Flores type guy, because he used to play off the ball, and he played edge rush. He played off the edge this year, and he looked pretty good. But when you watch him, you still kind of see that that's kind of an off the ball guy. You get the feeling there. I think his production came from inside. He kind of squares up like an off the ball linebacker. But it's a Brian Flores type of guy there, where he'll move him around a bit. Seth for the Eagles takes Greg Newsome. So Seth's having a really good draft. That we can kind of look back who has having a really good draft, but that one's just standing out to me because he got Devontae Smith and Greg Newsome here. Extreme value in my opinion. George takes Jason Owe, who is a freaky pass rusher. Not a bunch of production. He's a good run-stopping pass rusher, which you want the pass rush though. And he can grow because he's got that freaky upside 4.3 guy. Great build to him. So the Bengals pair him with Trey Hendrickson. Kyle, is this one of the trades here? And so the Panthers trade completely out. And the Lions, this one doesn't make too much sense to me because, the Panthers did get three, the Lions got, I don't think that's a realistic one. The Lions got too much, especially with that second next year. But they take Rondale Moore. It's going to be very interesting to see where Rondale Moore goes because, I think some teams might even scratch him off. Like, we're not taking him first round. We might not even take him second round, and some team might take him late first. He's kind of a gadget guy. Kind of get that feeling. It's kind of just screen pass, run to this open spot, get you the ball. Freaky athlete after the catch. So if you can kind of teach him the route concepts, he can be very good. It's going to be a confident team that takes him. It's going to be a confident team. Then David takes Nick Bolton, linebacker. Yeah, pair him with A.J. Johnson. I like that. This is a previous trade. We had a line trading again. Is that what happened here? Tyson Campbell for the Jets. Yeah, I like the fit there. And Robert Saleh's scheme is an ultimate upside cornerback. Could struggle early on. But most corners do anyways. So that's why your team could be, let's just get the upside guy. Ravens, made this trade. Now they got their center. They got Creed Humphrey here. Overland and Dickerson I find interesting. But they got their center. Anthony here makes a deal. Kent takes Carlos Basham Jr., edge rusher from Wake Forest. They could use him. I think he's kind of similar to Arik Armstead, but he could play with, Bosa and Armstead. It's an interesting one. It's one of those ones where I view it as a really good fit, but are they going to think that they're going to need that? But it's not always about the need, so it's interesting. So for some reason, even though we had a full lobby, a bot ended up drafting for the Packers. So somebody must have backed out last second or didn't sign in. So that's unfortunate. Packers take Liam Eichenberg. I don't think they would do that. They could put him at right tackle. I don't know. I don't think they would do it. This is extreme value here. Travon Mareg from TCU. This guy's going in the first round. I don't know if this is realistic either. I think he's going in the first round. Best safety in this class. Very good. Could actually go earlier than where people had him. But this would be fantastic. Javon Holland also could go first, but this is probably around his range to the Cowboys. They haven't listed at free safety. I mean, he can play free safety. I just don't know if that's where I'm really. Yeah, I mean, if they're, I guess, a Xavier Woods replacement, I guess somewhat similar style. I like him almost like a Tyrann Mathieu type player, though, who plays everywhere. But I do think he's a really good football player. People are kind of sleeping on him lately. Ravim takes Elijah Moore. Yeah, I think Elijah Moore is going first round. I think he'd even go middle of the first. So this is extreme value. Javonte Williams. I keep having the same thing. I love me some Javonte Williams. If you watch him, it's that guy that gets you out of your seat, when you're watching him. I mean, he gets you excited for the game. I think the only reason people have the other guys ahead of him right now and it's all close too, but it's because those are kind of bigger name, bigger schools, but they also catch the ball a lot more in the backfield. But I think it's more of getting the ball to Williams. I've actually noticed some incompletions where actually Howell, who's a good quarterback, missed Javonte Williams when he had a pretty good route. So I've noticed those things. I'm excited about him. That'd be big time for the Steelers. I just hope they have the blocking for him because it's looking pretty brutal right now. Nicholas takes Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma. It was interesting. It's not really common anymore. It kind of was at one point for the Cardinals to have an edge rusher in a mock, but Chandler Jones was hurt last year, and how much more time does he have? So they could be looking out for that. But who is opposite of him? And they got a couple of guys, Golden, Gardeck, but they could be looking out for that. Perkins is a stud, and they even could play all of them. Could he play? Yeah, I don't think he can play 3-4 end, opposite of J.J. Watt. I don't think he has a size for that, but he's got more power than his size says. Avery takes Dylan Radoon, so the North Dakota State gets a tackle there. Jackson Carman. I don't see him often in the second round, but the Washington football team gets their guy. If they took him, I would predict they'd play him at left tackle, but he could play guard. Jason takes Ricard Wild Goose from Nebraska, the cornerback. I don't think that's a realistic pick there. I think he's a later guy. Maybe just picking him based off his name. Swanee takes Eric Stokes from Georgia. So, I think Swanee's doing a good job here too. Bateman and Stokes looking pretty good. I feel like the Titans are going to run some man coverage. I think they're going to run more man coverage. And, adding Janoris Jenkins, and they get Stokes here. Eric takes Paulson Adebo. Probably a third-round guy, but possible here. The Colts probably look to offensive left tackle since they took pass rusher in the first round. Vikings, was this pick before they signed Xavier Woods today to play free safety. I think they would like Ardarius Washington, and they could still. Woods is only on a 1-year deal, so it's a possibility. And we did have a trade for that one. Did we look at that yet? No, it was the Steelers there, so that's. Oh, yeah, they moved back. That's right. Steelers moved up for Javonte Williams. Josh Myers is a Seahawks. He could play center for them. Quincy Roche. I like Quincy Roche. I don't think he goes this early. I think teams are going to overreact from he doesn't really have the size. I think he got the strength, but length-wise, arm length, and I guess the length of, him, his height, you usually want the taller guys to be over the top of the tackles or to match. His tackles are giant, obviously. But he gets the job done. He's a high motor guy, production, run game, and getting after the quarterback. The Rams could like him. De'Ami Brown, I've been watching receivers right now. I'm a little behind in my tape. I'm usually done with tape by now, actually. So I'm a little behind. I think free agency or offseason was crazy. That's probably why. If it just finish up De'Ami Brown, I'm a fan of him. I'm starting to think second round, but he could drop. Talent-wise, the talent that you see from this guy, really almost says first round, but I think he could drop second. He possibly could drop third because he ran a go or a post. I guess we can give him a slant too. He kind of, more of a post, but both we'll give it to him. Not a big route tree, but I think he's got pretty good footwork. You see he's got the athletic ability. He's a very smart receiver. I think he can adjust. I would like this for the Ravens here. Davion Nixon, this could be, he's a lot like Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon Richardson better, obviously, right now. So maybe looking out to replace him. But pretty good comparison there in terms of style of player. Jason, for the Saints, take Dylan Moses. I got kind of a hot take on Dylan Moses. I don't think anybody said this. I don't think a team's going to do this. But I like the upside as a pass rusher, as an edge rusher in a 3-4. He hasn't played that. He's had some good pass rush reps. Most likely he's going to be a 4-3 outside. He had kind of an off year there, just kind of controlling, off-ball duties. But I think he kind of looks like, and he might be undersized for it. That might be the problem if you can put some more weight on him. But you could say that for off the ball. I would love the upside as a pass rusher. But if the Saints took him, they'd be playing him off the ball for sure. He does fit there off the ball. Patrick Jones, another guy that just kind of gets the job done as production, and a lot of it. I thought he was better in 2019 than 2020. But the Bills could be interested in a guy like this. Packers take Amari Rodgers. That I would like for the Packers. The bot makes pretty decent pick. I'm more comfortable with him in the third round, but I think the Packers, that'd be a fantastic fit, what they need from the slot. Hamilcar Rashad from Oregon State. Don't think he goes this early. He was getting some buzz last year, but don't think he goes this early. Aaron Robinson, Buccaneers. They're good at evaluating these corners. They can play slot and play outside. They're good with it. So I do like the fit, but I don't know if they necessarily go corner, but they don't have a lot of needs. So they can just kind of go with their drill, with their routine there. So they could. Pat Freiermuth, Penn State tight end. Yeah, he could go. Oh, this is third round. Yeah, this would be pretty good for the Jags. It's a poor man's, but some Travis Kelce vibes here. But Kelsey's just way smoother. He improved a lot, like a fluky, amount, like a rare amount, I'm trying to say. But Freiermuth is pretty good. Joe takes Landon Dickerson. Yeah, I don't think he makes it to the third round here. I was actually picking for the Texans just because I have to pick somebody in this simulator, and I'd pick somebody with the least amount of picks here. I let it auto-sim, though. It's Levi Onwuzurike, who I think might have a shot to go late first, but I think he goes second. Elijah Molden, the slot corner for the Falcons. Trey Smith for the Bengals would be an excellent pick there. Jamin Davis would be an excellent pick. It feels like, a lot of the world's really hyped on him. I've even seen him sneaking in the first, but most people think in second. They don't think he gets out of the second. I like him. I'm not quite up to where everyone else is with him for the most part, but I do like him. It would be a good pick here, though. The Broncos add more to the defensive line because remember they cut Jarrell Casey. The Jets go Jabril Cox. Yeah, Justice having a really good draft. Jabril Cox would be fantastic. Good coverage linebacker for Robert Saleh. Maybe you can't really compare him to Warner, but in terms of the coverage impact, Deontay Brown for the Lions. I like that. Walker Little. Injury problem. Also didn't play this year, but possibility. Mukuamu from South Carolina. And the Packers bot is interesting. Brevin Jordan for the Ravens. Yet another tight end. Could actually see it, though. They would probably go Tommy Tremble. They're probably more of a Tremble team. Calvin Joseph for Ravim. He's having a great draft as well. Raiders get 3 picks in a row. This looks good. This looks really good, too, for Sean. Richie Grant, he's probably a starter. Osa Odigizingwa from UCLA, like his game as well in the interior. And then Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace, yeah, big playability there. Tough dude. This looks great for the Raiders right here. You know, looking like a bunch of second-round picks they just got in the third round all in a row. That would be fun. Chaz Serat for the Dolphins. Former quarterback, instinctive linebacker, you would think because of that. So some upside there. Jamie Newman for Washington. So, that's the thing with second-round quarterbacks, or second, third round, day 2 quarterbacks, like, they're day 2 for a reason. Usually when you take a quarterback, you're just looking for that starter. You're not really wasting time with a quarterback. So I'm not just going to take the normal day 2 quarterback. I'm going to take the one with the crazy upside, maybe like a Jamie Newman. So I kind of like that. And then Jason goes Kyle Trask. Victor Demukajay for the Ravens, so they get their pass rusher. Titans take time. Swanee's doing a really good job for the Titans. He's got some of the same fits I got. This would be a tremendous pick. Tommy Tremble, their tremendous pick for the Titans in the third round. Tay Gowan, lengthy, athletic cornerback there. Some good numbers, good analytics. Didn't play this year, but be pretty good for the Panthers. Sean Wade. They lost Mike Hilton, so Sean Wade had a rough go this year. He played outside. He played very well in the slot a year before, and I think people will even knock him for that because he can't even play outside the slot. But remember Damon Arnett? Damon Arnett, he had a rough year, but on Ohio State, really good outside corner. He actually, when Sean Wade was out, they actually put Arnett to slot because slot was that important to Ohio State, and Arnett really struggled. So it's kind of the opposite there. Sean Wade's a pretty damn good slot corner. And the Steelers could use that. Ulrich Jackson, who was getting hyped up kind of in the past year or two ago, so this could be an upside pick for tackle. Tutu Atwell for the Browns, get some speed there. Quinn Miners for the Raiders, get possibly their center or guard. Hamza Nasir Ladine, I think he's going to be later on. He was hyped up last year a lot. Not a big fan of his tape. I just don't know where to put him. I don't know. He played kind of everywhere, but I don't think he's fast enough, rangy enough for the back end. The same thing kind of can apply different ways in the front, in the box. Ventrell Miller for the Packers. The Bot's making some interesting picks. Darius Williams, a sleeper cornerback, could sneak in a third, probably fourth. James Hudson for the Chiefs. Yeah, James Hudson's kind of another boomer bust type guy. He has some really good moments on tape. Got beat up pretty bad by Ojulari. When he finally played really good competition, and he does have there's a lot of double team concepts where he was part of the double team, so it made his job easier. So it's a tough evaluation on him. Kellen Mond to the Buccaneers, I love that. Kellen Mond, another upside day 2 quarterback. Marvin Wilson to the Patriots, Ali McNeil to the Chargers, getting ready to replace Linval Joseph because he's probably about done. Darius Stills to the Saints. He had production, not a big name guy. He had some good production. Josh Ball, the Cowboys, Tyler Shelvin. So the Titans get their nose tackle because Daquan Jones is a free agent. Swanee's doing a good job here. Joe for the Panthers take Davis Mills, so they get their quarterback perhaps there. Paris Ford could be an early day 3 guy to the 49ers. Baron Browning, I like his game. He had reps at inside linebacker, outside off the ball, outside edge rusher, I should say. And lining up in the slot in coverage, lining up outside cornerback in coverage. So extremely versatile here. So, the Rams, anybody can use that, really. Ben Cleveland and Xavier Thomas here to wrap it up. Yeah, I kind of mentioned throughout the way who I like. I thought the Titans did a good job. I love this for the Raiders. Is that realistic, though? I think the Chargers, Ravine and the Chargers did a really good job. Seth and the Eagles stood out to me. Justin, the Jets really stood out. I think the Broncos were doing pretty good, if I'm not mistaken, there as well. Yeah, Mac Jones a little out there. Really like De'Ami Brown for anybody, but for the Ravens. Cowboys were doing a good job. There was one pick I thought, maybe that was it. I guess Javon Holland. Yeah, I like Javon Holland. Does he fit, though, I guess is the question. I think he fit anybody, but I really like the Giants coming up and getting Jalen Phillips. Some of these are the same I had, so of course I like the fit. The Cowboys, I just mentioned the Cowboys, but moving down 5 spots and getting Patrick Surtain. So the Giants came away with Slater and Phillips in the first round would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a good draft right there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do more of these, and I would like, to record as they're coming off the board, as it's happening, or maybe stream during that. So we'll do that, at least a couple times here. We're going to do a lot more of these, but at least a couple times I'll kind of do it live as it's live, leading up to the NFL draft. A bunch of NFL draft content right around the corner coming up this week. Really excited about that. And the draft's my favorite day of the year, days of the year. So I'm really excited. We have you covered on Twitter fully, so check that out. Subscribe to the channel. So you can stick with us for all that content that's already on the channel, about to come your way. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for playing along, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.